So I have spent the last month designing the best nutrition plan that will eliminate your brain fog, eliminate inflammation, bloating, will improve your digestion, will keep you mentally sharp all the time, and the foods that you can still eat to perform well in the gym, build muscle, and recover well. Now here are the key principles that I have built this diet around. It's to eliminate brain fog as much as possible. It's don't disrupt your digestion. The foods have to be highly nutritious, has to be no anti-nutrients, it has to be cheap, and it has to be easy to prep. Now, the word priority, it comes, I don't know where it comes from, probably from Greek, but priority would actually mean having just one priority, just having one main thing. Here we have 6 different things, so I kind of prioritize it for myself, but I think I'm very representative person for majority of the population. So all of these, even though I have even like 6 priorities and 6 restrictions, I think it will apply for most of the people. Because when you have 6 priorities, at the same time, you have 6 priorities, but you don't have any priority at all, because priority should be just one. And here I have 6, but I think this diet will work absolutely amazing for you. And this diet is heavily based on the low FODMAP elimination diet, the one that I've talked in the previous video about the elimination diet. So this will work probably for like 95% of people. Still, I've added few of the things, but I'm doing a separation of which foods are also safe for the low FODMAP diet and which foods I have added myself. So the foods that I've added myself post-elimination diet, you will have to try them for yourself to see if you tolerate that in the first place. But other than that, I think it will work wonders for majority of people. So if you want to skip trials and errors like I had, I was designing this diet for probably like 20 hours, developing like the most optimized diet plan to get all of the nutrients you need that won't disrupt your digestion. You won't have any brain fog, no bloating, no inflammation, and you will still be able to make progress in the gym. And it's not gonna cost you a lot. In fact, this new diet costs me less than my previous diet, and I'm like extreme Jew. I want to spend as little money as possible. So this is exactly what we are looking at. This is what I call the new era of healthy nutrition. So here we have like the base of the base, like what you are actually starting with. And I think, this is actually the elimination diet itself, what you eat on the elimination diet. And then here is what you add on top. So you start with adding dairy, then you add fermented, then you add things for your nutrient and taste additions. So let's go. For proteins, here we have a safe base on elimination. So what you can eat all the time, and I'm 99% sure that you're not gonna have any problems eating this. So you see on safe base elimination, I was eating just mainly chicken hearts, chicken gizzards, eggs, and 10% beef and pork. But you will get almost all of the nutrients you need just from the first 3, just from the chicken hearts, gizzards, and eggs. And grounded beef and pork, it's really just for the extra volume. And occasionally I will have like a steak, beef shoulder, beef heart, because these steaks are a bit more expensive. Beef heart and beef shoulder, it's a little bit tricky to cook because you have to steam them. No, you don't have to steam them. You have to cook them in the high pressure cooker to get the collagen, because that's what you're paying the extra for. Now, here's the alternative that you can also eat out of that. And post-elimination diet, basically, as you see, I've added nothing. I don't even know what you can add. Actually, I've added sardines just 2 days ago, but I don't think I will continue with sardines. Anyway, so that's on proteins. That is really the animal protein is the main thing that you will be basing your diet on, because you will get like 90% of all of the daily nutrient needs specifically from the animal protein. So just take a screenshot. take a screenshot from that, and that's what you will be mainly basing your diet on. Then on carbs, what is safe based on elimination? White rice, it's the bulk of my rice is the bulk of my carbs, and they are faster digesting, so I would put them as my pre-workout meal, as my post-workout meal, and I would keep sweet potatoes as my late breakfast and as my last meal of the day. especially as my last meal of the day, so that I don't feel hungry when I go to sleep. Rice cakes, puffed rice, but you have to have very little because of the glycemic index spike. Puffed rice is very high on the glycemic index. I think it's around 90. Alternatives, white potatoes. I hate white potatoes of how they taste. They just taste disgusting, but if you like white potatoes, go for it. Again, additions, I have added nothing. I'm just sticking to white rice and sweet potatoes as like 90% of my carbs. And for fats, mainly everything will come from the meat and eggs, olive oil, butter, and I use olive, coconut, avocado oil for cooking. That's the alternative that you can have. And my additions are macadamia nut butter. So you probably already know, if you're just a little bit woke, that peanut butter is not really good for you, because in fact peanuts are not even nuts, it's legumes, and legumes are terrible for you. Almond butter is a little bit healthier, but still very bad. So you can just go with macadamia nut butter in the first place. It's gonna be like 4 times more expensive and it has like 4 times less protein than peanut butter. But if you're really clingy about eating some nut butter, macadamia one is the one to go. But it's not even as good, to be honest. But that's the best alternative that you can have to feel that peanut butter texture. Fruits and berries, wild blueberries, cantaloupe melons, strawberries, kiwi. These are the alternatives that you also can have. My addition, medjool dates, but you have to be careful because it has high fructose and it can cause quite a lot of bloating for a lot of people. And I use it mainly around workouts, but I add it with fiber. So I'll have this as my pre-workout meal, even though we know that as pre-workout meal you don't want to have any fats because it will slow down your digestion. But I've personally noticed, and that's the main thing you have to know about. What works well for you, on what foods you actually feel well. So I realized I feel well with medjool dates, specifically medjool ones. These are the ones that have the seed inside that you have to take off. They will be more expensive than regular cheap ones, regular cheap dates that are without the seeds. But medjool dates with butter work well for me because they're very high in carbs. They're very high in sugar, and specifically fructose sugar, which could crash you, and you could have this like mid-workout energy crash. But because I'm adding butter, which smooths out that insulin spike, I'm having energy throughout the whole workout. Honey, also good one, but also keep in mind that it's high in fructose. I think honey is 50% glucose, 50% fructose. And what you always want to strive for is to have as much glucose as possible. So these are my additions, not much. Vegetables, not looking pretty, none. I was too lazy to cook and none too lazy to research. And now I'm just adding just 1 clove of garlic, but also you have to be careful as it causes a lot of bloating for a lot of people. And I'm just having 1 clove for the sake of like a detox and healthy gut bacteria. For dairy, as I said on elimination diet, you can't have any at all. But as I said, I'm treating dairy quite well, so everything of this works pretty fine for me. The thing is, when you have dairy, like yogurt and cottage cheese, you're probably not gonna just eat it by itself without anything. Most likely what you're gonna add is probably either puffed rice or fruits. And when you have cottage cheese or yogurt that is low in fat and you're adding fruits, you may actually experience an insulin crash if the products that you eat are low fat. So I had yogurt with 2% fat. I've had a few of the berries and fruits, and I had insulin crash after that, and I had a brain fog, and I was feeling like sluggish, foggy, and had like weak energy. So I bumped up the fat intake. I went for the cottage cheese that is 5%, and that completely eliminated my problem. For fermented, as I said, on elimination diet, you can't have any. So lately I added sauerkraut as my main one, but you have to beware of histamine overload. What would that mean is that sauerkraut and any fermented food is very high in histamine. And when you combine, let's say, sauerkraut with things like eggs, meats, organs, which are histamine liberators, basically histamine liberators tell your body to produce histamine itself. So when you eat eggs, meats, organs, which tell your body to produce histamine, and you get extra histamine on top from sauerkraut, you get histamine overload, and you start getting that uncomfortable feeling of like runny nose, nasal congestion, like slight brain fog. That's the thing to watch out for. Kefir and fermented drink concentrates. That's the thing that I've added. And by the way, the ranking here doesn't mean anything in the additions part, in fermented part, but here it actually matters. Here it actually matters. Like here, I prefer medjool dates over honey. I prefer cottage cheese over regular cheese, over yogurt, over kefir, over raw milk. Here, it doesn't mean anything. Now, the things that were missing from my elimination diet, the things that I have added, mostly to like filling the gap that I had in nutrients themselves and filling the gap on the taste, just the things that I purely enjoy eating. So first thing was 85% dark chocolate. I love dark chocolate, so I really just added it for the taste because I can't live without it. But you always have to look at ingredients. Always look at ingredients. Are there not any like artificial sweeteners? Are there no seed oils? Are there no like any preservatives and additives? Go for the higher quality one. Pumpkin seed, because I was missing magnesium. Sardines for missing omega-3. Corn tortillas, because I can't live without tortillas. I just love everything made from flour. I tried corn tortillas. Terrible. I will never eat them again. Keto buns, because I love eating burgers and it's kind of a healthier version. Psyllium husk, because I was missing fiber a lot, and it also slows down the insulin spikes. Ketchup and mustard, not really necessary. I just added for the taste, and the ones that I've added have no added sugar, but you always have to watch for ingredients. If you look at ingredients and you have no idea what you're looking at, just take a picture and upload it into Claude and write a script that I'm just coming out of the elimination diet and I want to add ketchup or mustard. And here you paste a picture of the ingredients and say, is it gonna be like bad for me? Is it gonna be like bad for the digestion? And I've done the same thing. Claude told me, Claude didn't said it was good, but he didn't said it was terrible for you either. Coconut water, that's for potassium, that's for debloat, that's for mugging other guys, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. I just purely enjoy the taste. That's what it's really all about. Supplements. The key for supplements is for them to have no flavor at all, so I'm not gonna go all over them, just take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of them, what I'm taking daily, what I'm taking pre-workout. By the way, this pre-workout stack is like the most anabolic you can have. It's generally the most anabolic pre-workout shake you can have. You can be fasted for like last 8 weeks, not eating a single food, and start doing like ultra marathon training. If you have this pre-workout shake, you will be absolutely unstoppable, I promise you. It beats pre-workout carbs by a large margin. On calories. So the old approach was, like calories in versus calories out. For bulk, you have 300 to 500 calorie surplus. That will be some muscle gain. And for the cut, it will be in the opposite. And just follow a calorie plan. I don't really think that's a good idea because unless you look like this guy, yes, you might actually benefit from a 500 calorie surplus. But my approach, which is, will be controversial for a lot of people, and I will make like 20 separate videos on this. My approach is that you don't need a calorie surplus to build muscle. Bam! Your head has just exploded. How is that possible? Look at this. I'm telling you, it's somehow possible. You don't need a calorie surplus. What you need is a nutrient surplus to build the muscle. That's what I think you eat. For cut, just meet the nutrients needs that you have and have 300 to 500 calorie deficit that will lose you fat and build some muscle. Because even when you're on a cut, you can for sure meet your nutrient needs. The truth to be told, when we go to the protein section, if you eat these 4 things, you have, let's say, 100 grams of cooked chicken heart, have 100 grams of chicken gizzards, and you have 4 large eggs, you will meet like 80% of your nutrient needs for the day. If you also have one vitamin C, that probably makes like 85% of your nutrient needs for the day. That's really all you need. Just these three things combined, 100 grams, 4 eggs, I think that will be around 600 calories. From these 600 calories, you get 80% of your daily nutrient needs. Can you imagine that? Like, my head is just blown, but that's the truth. That's the truth. Where's my approach again? For bulk, here's the thing. You don't really need calorie surplus to build muscle. What you really need is the damaged muscle in the first place. Then you need elevated muscle protein synthesis, and you need raw materials. And by raw materials, I don't mean extra calories. I mean full profile of amino acids. Okay, so you need damaged muscle, so you need just to go to the gym for that. You need elevated muscle protein synthesis. How do you get elevated muscle protein synthesis? Well, you eat protein, you train in the gym, that's basically it. If you eat more calories, you're not gonna increase the muscle protein synthesis, but if you eat at a deficit, you will lower the muscle protein synthesis. So let me repeat this again. If you eat at a deficit, you will lower muscle protein synthesis. But if you eat at a surplus, you don't increase the muscle protein synthesis. Okay, so you train, you eat at a maintenance, and you eat highly nutritious animal protein to get full profile of amino acids. And the reason why you would have a slight surplus, and slight I would mean like 100 to 300 calories, here I wrote 0 to 300, is to have this extra buffer to be sure that you don't eat at a deficit. Because to estimate how much you're actually eating at a surplus or deficit, it's insanely difficult. You may use like hundreds of most proficient calorie estimators, and just because of your metabolic rate, it might be off by around 300 calories. You sprayed olive oil a bit too much, that's extra 50 calories. You sprayed olive oil too little, that's 50 calories less. Maybe you have weighted raw food versus you inputted cooked food, that's another 50 to 100 calorie difference. So you get the idea. Ideally, if you magically know the number you're eating, you would just eat at a maintenance. But you have this up to 300 calorie surplus as a buffer to make sure that you don't eat at a deficit, because when you eat at a deficit, you lower the muscle protein synthesis. That's it. I know it was a lot of science in a very short period of time, but just rewatch it again and ask ChatGPT for help. And we have fasting. 20 to 24 hour fast every 1 to 3 weeks. It's more of a for mental than physical benefits, and it will also keep you more insulin sensitive, so you don't have to finish every of your meals with some sweet snack, and you don't get energy crashes that often, and you just make sure you don't become like pre-diabetic. When it comes to following a calorie plan, I think it kind of develops an eating disorder, because you are fine with eating less when you don't want to eat, and you're fine with eating more if you want to eat more, as long as you're meeting the nutrient needs and it's all clean. Because the truth is, I'm a big believer of carb cycling, because it's normal to eat more when you train, on the days that you train, and it's normal to eat less on the days that you don't train. Because when you do train, you spend more energy, so you need more calories, mainly coming from carbs. But on the days when you don't train, most people still eat the same amount of calories. So you're just force feeding yourself. Naturally, on the days that you do train, naturally you're more hungry. You want to eat more, so sweet, everything here works just well. But on the days that you don't train, on your off days from the gym, most people will still eat the same calories as they do on the training day. So you're just force feeding yourself, and you're developing an eating disorder. And you're just becoming fat, and you're crushing your insulin sensitivity. That's why I'm actually doing carb cycling myself, and I will make a separate video on this. Just read it. I'm kind of getting tired. Chicken breast slave. I was literally mentally insane from counting calories. This was, I think it was taken like 2-3 weeks after my peak bulk. All I was eating was broccolis, white potatoes, and chicken breast. I was absolute slave to counting calories and absolute slave to chicken breast. I didn't really like my diet at all. I was feeling fucked up all the time. I had no energy and was very stagnant with losing weight. It was taken 2023 September, before I even started lifting. And my ex-girlfriend at the time, she was my current girlfriend. Well, at that time, she was my girlfriend. Now she's my ex-girlfriend. She told me I look like a stick. Here I was. I think I was here like 73 kilograms. Oh, young me. Now I'm a dream of every office MILF. I'm eligible. I'm official biggest chicken organs buyer in Europe, because I realized that eating ground beef and steaks all the time is just a lie sold to you by carnivores. No, just eat chicken organs. Chicken organs are like 5 times cheaper than a steak, and they have more nutrients than a steak. Yeah, they're not gonna taste as great as steak does, but they get the job done quite well. They get the job done. Main character of woman romance novels. It's this guy, it's not this guy. And the main difference is that this guy always eats chicken organs. He tried elimination diet. He trains hard. Well, he trains in the first place. This guy didn't train. So you get the idea. That's really how I have built my diet. You can take the screenshot again of this. And just try it for yourself. So try this for 2 weeks and then start adding these things. I've tried to make it as intuitive as possible, just to understand this from the screenshot. But if you have any questions, ask Claude AI to help you and ask me to help you, and you're gonna get pretty much the same progress. From looking like this skinny femboy to looking like an absolute weapon, the most jacked guy in the office, while working your 9 to 5 in just 2.5 years. I would give you 2.5 years. I know this progress may seem like a lot in 2.5 years, but when you focus more on the digestion, on optimizing your digestion and actually absorbing the nutrients that you need, so your digestion is not fucked up. You eat 200 grams of protein and you actually absorb 200 grams of protein, you just simply skyrocket your progress. Goddamn. Lower ab veins. Never had them. Anyways, now you understand. Just focus more on the digestion, on nutrients, on eliminating anti-nutrients, and on the foods that you can actually tolerate. That's the most important thing. On which foods your body and your mind feels well, that's what you're supposed to eat for the rest of your life. If you have any additional questions, feel free to ask me. Peace out.